Okay.
We're good to go.
I think we're all set now. This is pretty informal. It's just a conversation about who each other are and how we can potentially overline our goals together. I'm not exactly sure what we're trying to accomplish within the modeling sphere, but at least we can kind of talk about who we are and see what we can come to discover.
Yeah, exactly. So today we have Marley Tipper on the podcast. So Marley, if you want to introduce yourself, give yourself a little background, that'd be great.
Well, I'm Marley Tipper, as was just said. I'm 21 years old. I was born and raised in Vermont, and I left Vermont when I was 18 to pursue, basically I was going to school at the time, but that was just kind of like a precursor to get me to California. So I just kind of took that route, and then I was modeling a bunch and I dropped out of school. I mean, COVID kind of played into that. It wasn't just like me being successful, I was just kind of being lazy, but they go hand in hand for me. Just kidding. So yeah, I stopped going to school in December of 2020. And then I was like full-time modeling. I was doing a lot with social media then. Over quarantine, I had like a TikTok account that blew up. So I was just kind of like utilizing that. I was living it up. It was super fun. And then world was flipped. Now I live back in Vermont and I'm set up in a little apartment. I've just been chilling. I'm kind of upset your guys' setup is so much cooler than mine.
It's because of Michael. Michael just, tech guy.
You're like glowing. Like it looks like you're definitely ambient creatures.
We got our own auras going on. Michael, change the colors to red or blue. No, I don't know. What's a good color?
Yeah. Oh wow.
Like full control over here.
Yeah.
Fun.
Okay, so first question going into this, what made you want to go into the modeling industry? Like what influenced that?
So I actually was thinking about this. I like wrote down all your questions and I was like really taking the time to think about them. And I realized that I had been taking photos and like kind of performing since like a really young age. I started doing theater when I was in like 3rd grade. And obviously I'm a very dramatic person. I love attention. And that like kind of outlook, like being like a spectacle and like playing a character was huge when I was little. Just like trying to find myself. So it was easier to like find little pieces of other people and then like piece myself together. So I did theater for a long time. And then in high school, I started like being photographed. My first photo shoot was when I was 14, and it was like for a present for my mom for Christmas, and my dad like took me to have like a portrait taken. And I remember I was so nervous because I thought that it was like an actual thing and not something that he had paid for. So like after that, I just kind of really enjoyed it, and we had a bunch of photographers at my school, so I was just trying to like utilize other people's skills and then get better at it. And yeah, I definitely made a little name for myself in high school because I was very adamant about getting photos of myself out there.
Cool. That's thick. And when it comes to like modeling, when you moved out to California, right? What were some like walls that you really had to break through in order to become prominent in like the modeling industry or just like influencer industry?
So I basically was kind of slapped in the face because my whole vision of modeling was mainly like runway, and like I loved high fashion modeling, like very futuristic, and just kind of like I was looking at the models as more of like clothes hangers rather than like them being models.
Yeah.
And I was like really obsessed with like the fashion and like part of it. And I was very quickly reminded that I am a whopping 5'6". So that was like the first thing that I realized, that I was like, okay, this is something we can't change. We can't do anything about this. So let's be more realistic. So that's when I kind of got into like commercial modeling and like doing more kind of like advertisement. Like I did a lot of music videos because I have like a look, but it was just for that specific part of modeling. Like I would never do like athletic modeling, like I'm not an athlete. So it was just kind of like finding where I fit in for like the demand. because I could supply, but it depended on what people wanted. So definitely kind of like having to play the field in that regard. Also just the whole like, well, when I was in high school, I was an athlete. So I like went out and I was like a solid like 140. I was muscular. Like I could have done athletic modeling, but I didn't want to, obviously. So the whole like physical appearance aspect kind of came into play where I wasn't like, I think it was subconscious. Like my mind wasn't super focused on like changing my body, but like subconsciously it was. So over like 2 years, I like really just kind of dropped weight and didn't realize it. And that was because I was like trying to be that standard.
I mean, that playing off that like comes to another thing with like, even though it's subconscious, it was based off of something that was pushed into our social standards just to, and it makes everyone insecure. So like when like it was subconscious for you, for like a lot of other people, it's something that's so apparent in their minds all the time, and it's such a problem. Like, do you think that would ever change? Like, do you think that we like as a collective we'd ever be able to change that social construct that like for like a model they have to be like, I don't know, how tall do you have to be like a runway model?
Well, now there's like a lot more opportunity for people to like get out there. I do like know of runway models that are 5'6". It's just like you have to be like the 1% that just gets picked. So like realistically, like there are people that are going into that and like they're being not like catered to, but like they're being allowed in, because like beforehand it wasn't, you couldn't, like if you weren't a certain height, like they just wouldn't look at you. But like now people are kind of opening their lens, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll ever be over, because a lot of that stuff just has to do with like marketing, and like you can't really have someone be really successful unless a lot of people aren't successful. Like there's two sides of every coin. So like it just kind of goes along, in my perspective and like my experience, it goes along with marketing and stuff. So like whatever's in, like fashion is just trends, like that kind of stuff. It's so easy to like market different things. Like people were marketing really skinny girls, and they were marketing like BBL like bodies, and they were like, there's just all different types of like ways that people can kind of go about that to like make you think that you should look a different way. But the second that like we fall into, okay, this is like the conventionally attractive thing, like they'll switch it up because it's a way to make money. The whole diet industry is like it's a huge moneymaker. Like it's just one of those things, you know. It's I don't think it's gonna stop. Maybe in my lifetime, but like I hope it does. I don't think it's going to, but
maybe.
Yeah, like I'm positive in like my life that it's gonna stop, because like I want to take control, and I hope that other people feel that way. But like as a huge big picture, I don't see that like ending. I don't know. I'm kind of like cynical when it comes to that stuff.
Do you think like social media has kind of opened the doors to the modeling industry, whereas like more regular folk can be models, and that kind of like leading in that direction of any kind of body type is accepted?
I think that social media is a really good way for people to have a voice without needing someone to hold the megaphone, if that makes sense. Like all of these agencies and like people that scout you, they can get like agents, they can get you managers, they can get you different jobs. Like it helps, but it's not necessary. I was never linked with an agency. I was always freelance. I made every single one of my own deals. So like, yes, because I use social media, TikTok, obviously, like I was using that to kind of make up for where I would lack. Cause like I would go into agencies, and at the time, like I don't have any hair, but at the time I had like long blonde hair, and I was definitely just like there were a lot of people that looked exactly like me, and there was nothing I could do about that. So like agencies weren't really looking at me per se, but I knew how to find people that were looking for me and just reach out to them on my own accord. And social media definitely helped with that. So yes.
Yeah, with the TikTok, did you have the intention of trying to promote yourself as like a model with the TikTok, or were you just using it as like creative expression and having fun with it?
I was not very creative with it. I mean, there were times when I like kind of would like have some fun with it, but it was more just kind of like a personality that was really palatable to a easily susceptible audience. And like, honestly, I don't know. I think I was just trying to like look super sexy, and it was a way that I knew how to look really sexy, and it was like very easily like received.
So Marley's a schemer. She
Yeah.
knew how to scheme the market.
It's just, you gotta find the audience. If you can figure out what they like, it's really easy with certain groups of people to like really just, I looked really hot. There were a lot of people that like looking at hot women. That's never gonna change.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Interesting.
yeah.
Did you feel the same way when you're like making those videos as you did back in theater, or maybe in these photo shoots, or like what exactly is going through your mind when you're like actually working as a model?
So, I mean, that was kind of more on like the social media side. Like, I am a full advocate that like social media is not real. So that was much more just like making money, and it allowed me to not be in college, and I didn't want to be in college at the time. So that was just kind of like a loophole. And when I was actually doing more like kind of intentional modeling, like with shoots where there was like themes and there was like treatments and there was just all different kinds of like people coming together to make it creative, I thought it was a lot cooler, and like it was just, there was a lot more depth, and I would put a lot of effort into it. Like every single photo shoot that I did, most of the time I would be doing like my own hair and makeup. I would be getting myself there, and before I had a car, like I was Ubering everywhere. Like the Made in Toyo song was about me, like I swear. Because literally, like, I spent probably more money than I made, like Ubering to different places, because I just wanted to be able to like get the exposure. But I forgot what you said.
I was thinking just like what is actually like going in your mind, like let's say back in theater, like when you're doing the act or you're like in the play, like what are you thinking about the lines and like the moment like you're on the stage? Because like personally, back in college, I had to do this like sorority the dance, and like with my fraternity, and I just like, we did it for 2 years, and the first year it went by in like a blink of an eye. Like I did not even think about myself being on the stage. But that second year, I really kind of like paused in the moment and like focused on like all these eyes on me, and then I realized I wasn't like doing my moves. And I feel like there's someone like somewhere in between.
You like came to the realization, and you were like, oh, whoa, people are looking at me. Yeah, no, that's very real. I feel like everyone has to go through that at least like a few times. But I was doing like more theater stuff when I was younger, and I just had no shame. Like, I was not worried about what people thought of me, and mainly because it was such like, I told Josh this, but like when I was younger, I had like, I don't know if this was even a reason, if maybe I just thought this as like the reason because I needed to have a reason for why, but they always cast me as the guy characters, like always. And it definitely like, it annoyed me, but it was so much easier to just be a different person when like they really changed who I was. Like they changed like costume wise, like the lines, obviously I'm not going to be talking like some father in like the 1970s. You know, like it was just such a different me that I could just kind of like really get into it. And I actually have no real memories of me on stage. I have no idea how I remembered everything. I definitely blacked out, like for sure. But with modeling, I feel like, I mean, it's just different because you're like, I wasn't actively talking when I was like on set, and like most of my photographers, like I would just vibe with them really fast. And if I didn't, then I would leave because there's just no point in trying to create something when you're uncomfortable. So like, I feel like it was more kind of just it was me playing me, so it was just kind of easier than to get into a whole other like perspective.
So like speaking on like being like almost completely out of your own character, your self character, like playing on things with like there's like fashion companies now that are creating like NFTs for the metaverse, or they're like creating like concepts of like clothing for the metaverse. And you know, obviously, and I think that modeling will be a part of the metaverse in some way. Do you think that because everyone will be so out of character, because like you're in a virtual world where your character could look nothing like yourself, do you think that'll really open like pretty much the entire world to like actually getting really in depth with modeling or like the fashion industry?
You know, I feel like one of the biggest changes that I could potentially see happening for like the fashion industry is that there's just not going to be like the worry about textiles and like fabrics and like consumerism in that regard. Like there's just a scale that we have not been able to reach like with physical like garments that is possible in like a reality like that. So I feel like people are probably just gonna have like their entire creative like mindscape just wrenched open even farther, because there's just gonna be more opportunity for like just everything. You have all of the resources to create something completely different because they're new resources and they're new ideas, and it's like it doesn't matter if it's not functional. You don't feel the weight of the clothes on you. I mean, maybe you do, I don't know. But like I feel like a lot of the obstacles in like current day fashion will be like obsolete. So the creativity will be like more.
Yeah. Makes me wonder if there'll be like more focus on like the body movements, like the poses, as opposed to like how the avatar actually looks, or maybe like the setting that they're in, because you can pretty much customize it into anything you want.
Yeah, I feel like it'll just depend on the person individually, because like I feel like if I were to choose like my type of fashion in that type of realm, it would definitely like be more along the lines of like avant-garde, like maybe some like JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, like that type of outfit. You know, like I'd want to be in like a super cool pose, and like I'd want to have like my feet be like 7 times the size of my head to like make it look a certain way. You know,
everything's like it's so outlandish that in the real world they would not work whatsoever. Like it would
like you can't walk into a grocery store with like a wingspan, you know, like it's just not, it's not plausible. But like if you want to go run errands and wear like a certain thing, you can do it in like a virtual reality space.
Yeah, and like hearing how you mentioned the commercials, how you got into the commercial modeling, it makes me think about the trend where on TV, like some of these commercials now are like kind of filmed like TikToks, where they have like the dancers and everything. I wonder if the next like move would be towards like the metaverse, where like everything's kind of animated. I mean, right now it would be on like the 2D screen, but I feel like that is something that could be happening. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me like at this point, but I feel like in that direction, the doors are wide open for like where modeling can come into play.
Like almost like so I was thinking about this one concept where like, say you were like in the metaverse for a long time, right? Like you spend like all your time there, and like, you know how on YouTube you get like ads every like 5 minutes on a video, something like that. What if like for a time duration that you're in the metaverse, then an ad pops up, right? And instead of the ad being this like 2D image like you see on like a TV screen, you're getting this like 3D image of like some I've noticed that Dior is doing a lot of marketing now. They're posting a lot of commercials, and it's all like, it's based on like seasonal things. But like, what if like a company like Dior, they would like, instead of it being like some image of like, you know, like their new clothing line, or like I know that a lot of designer brands have gone into China wear, like Gucci has their own China wear set now. Like what if
like that type of stuff too?
Yeah, like what if like the ad, you could not only like see it in like almost like a 4D model, but then also you could like look at it, you could like hold it, try it on, and like, and then be like, oh yeah, I want to buy it. And like, I guess that would take out the concept of like actually going somewhere to buy something, and like you could just literally buy it and then put it on.
Yeah. That, I don't know. I hope, like, I feel like advertisement now has just gotten so just like, to me, that is when I hate ads. I hate them. Like, I have a lot of anger towards pop-up ads. And a lot of that is because I am an avid South Park watcher, and there's like a whole thing about them, and now I've grown to be like, get out of here. But I honestly, right when you said like advertisements, all I thought were like, it just being so unbelievably targeted for you, like it's curated for you, like it would be the perfect ad for you, like individualized exactly. Like if it was for me, and I noticed this in the real world too, like I was, this is recently, I was getting my nails done with my cousin, and there was like a TV screen, and I told her, we just talked about asthma. I was like, oh my God, like I have asthma, blah, 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 whatever. Conversation, it was normal. I look up on the screen 2 seconds later, there's a freaking inhaler commercial, and I'm just like, that's not even like a smart TV. Like that just happened. And now I'm like worried. And then just for the rest of the day, like I just noticed certain things like really cute. Like look at this, it's not, I realized I have my other charger, but I bought like this little charger animal, and it's like you put it on and it's like a little shark, so it like looks cute when you charge your phone.
Yeah.
They got me. Like they literally marketed to an audience, and I was that audience, and I totally succumbed because I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. Like, so I just feel like the ad experience in the metaverse would be so just like, it would be like your favorite celebrity, like holding something out, being like, do you want to try it? I love this. Like, we could be best friends if you try this, like that type of thing.
I completely agree with that, because like even now, when you look at like, if you have like TikTok ads, like they're all based on what you like. Like if you like a video, or if you like some type, or you save an ad because like you want to buy something in the future. Like for instance, like there was this one ad for like this, it was like an electric motorbike, right? And it looked super cool, and I was like, oh dang, I want to save this so I can like actually look up the actual motorbike, because it was obviously like one of those scam ads. And then immediately after that, what do I get on my TikTok page? Every video is like motorbikes, or now I get more ads for the motorbike, or like just motorcycles in general. Even on my Instagram, I get like ads for like Harley Davidson, and I'm like, but I didn't even want these ads.
No, they're like, wait, you need a motorcycle? Oh, okay. Don't worry. We have all of them.
Yeah.
And you can have all of them if you pay all of your money to us, and then give us your social and your fingerprint.
Exactly. They want everything. And I feel like that's kind of like a worry, because at the same time that it could be really good for monetary value, that would basically cut out all needs to really grow an incentive for someone. It would then just be like, oh, we can make this ad specific just for one person. And this ad can be replicated. So like, for instance, with like if someone had a favorite like celebrity or artist or anything, they could make an ad specifically for each person based on their celebrity, but just change out the person, right?
Yeah.
But in that same instance, that means that there's no such thing as having personal information anymore. And now everything is it's out in the open, right?
Yeah.
So like, I feel like that could be a problem, because now there's no such thing as like privacy, right?
Yeah.
Everything is public knowledge, and that could
I fully believe if you really scoured the internet, you find some weird shit of like anyone, and I'm not even exposing myself, anyone, and I have not done that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know like who you gotta know to be able to get to that side of the internet, but I just know it's there. Like there's definitely some videos of me in like a hotel elevator, like just dicking around, like fucking
Yeah.
I believe it. It's scary. Do I mind? I mean, what am I gonna do?
You can't really do anything, because like so for instance, there was this one trend, it was like right before TikTok, but on Instagram someone posted like, look up your name and what's the first picture that comes up. So I looked at my name, and then the first picture that comes up was like a celebrity, and I was like, oh, okay, no worries. But like if you like look up any name on like just Google, it'll give like a service where you can find out their location, their like house address, phone numbers, past phone numbers, family members. And I was like,
and you can back search, or like whatever it's called, putting phone numbers in and finding out who they are.
Exactly.
Someone like was trying to be a little annoying piece of shit on my page, whatever, and sometimes I get bored and I'll just like look them up, and I'm just like, now I know.
Now you know.
Who was saying this to me, just in case I see you in person, just so I can be like, mental note.
Yeah, I feel like as like, let's say the metaverse develops, I think there'll be so much more like information about who like we are in the metaverse, but I don't know if that'll be tied to us as like individuals in like the real world. And so that's where I think these like really personalized ads could be kind of useful. So like, let's say for you, if you wanted to, like right now you can't really teach modeling over Zoom because it's not like super interactive, but let's say in the metaverse you were able to, and it'd be like actually very useful. Then you can target maybe like 5 people that's perfect for, as opposed to you send it to millions of people and like everyone gets super annoyed. It's like, oh, this is nothing to do with me, and they just immediately exit out of it. So
yeah,
I don't know, that's kind of like, I try to see all the ad stuff from like the producer side of things, because I mean it definitely does get annoying from the consumer side.
I feel like all I think about, if all I think about when you just said that was just like, it would be so much more, whatever the currency is, to buy specialized advertisement like that. If you wanted to use that for your own benefit, it would just not be like, oh, spend $6 on Instagram, get it like put out to like 400 people. It'd be like, you're spending a lot of money to get it to those absolute few people that will spend the money. Because if it's like more guaranteed to like produce back to you, it has to be giving someone else a little bit more, you know?
I can see that, because like, especially since like the metaverse is supposed to be decentralized, it's going to be tied to cryptocurrencies, right? And cryptocurrencies are not, they're not set, right? So like, say like the dollar is always going to be a dollar, a penny is always a penny, right? But like with a cryptocurrency, one Bitcoin isn't always equal to $58,000 or like $60,000. Sometimes it's worth like it could drop to like 40,000. It could increase or decrease depending on how the market is going, depending on how the original currency you invested in is actually working. So there's a lot of different variants that have to be thought about when it comes to like prices for like services. So like, for instance, if like say like you wanted to promote yourself in the metaverse and they were like, you have to pay like one Bitcoin, right? One Bitcoin one day could be like $58,000 and you lose $58,000, but then the next day it could be like 30,000.
Yeah, it's like, who has intel to that information? Maybe if you're of a certain group, you might have more intel. Like there's always that like little voice in the back of my head that's like, especially because like, if we're basing the virtual reality like metaverse off of our real world, what's to say it's not just gonna end up like our real world? Like,
yeah, I mean, ideally, there's not going to be like a Facebook or Instagram company that's going to own everything. Because that's what I'm trying to think. Like, who exactly would be like paying to get that the ad targeted to those 5 people? Ideally, everyone kind of owns their own information. But I mean, that sounds good on paper, but I really have no idea how that would even play out like in the real world.
I mean, that's the same thing as in the real world. Like when you think about like what a president says to like get people to vote for him, right? He talks about all these different bills of, oh, I'm gonna change this, I'm gonna raise the minimum wage, I'm gonna do this, that, and the third. But it's all good on paper, but him actually implementing it into our actual economy or into actual like working agreement with the rest of society, that's a whole different ball game. Like it's usually a president only changes like maybe like 4 things during his term, but he might have had like 1,000 things that he wanted to change when he was running. So like for like relating that to like the metaverse, although it states that like, you know, it's decentralized, everyone can own their own stuff, their own entities, right? But we're already seeing that a lot of companies are buying land in the metaverse in large amounts. You know, when Facebook switched their name to Meta and really started going ham with the metaverse, they already became like one of the largest playing roles in the creation of it. So in the long and the short of it, we're probably going to end up with a world where like it will be like everything will be attainable for everyone, but a large portion will still be controlled by one group of people. Which
it depends if they want to be like as blatantly exploitive as like they are now.
Yeah.
But really, it's up to. I mean, I don't want to like, you know, I'm not gonna predict anything because I want to allow people to, you know, do the right thing. But based on patterns, just doing a little guesstimating, I don't know how it's gonna play out, and I don't have like a lot of hopes. I just don't want to get my hopes up, you know?
I would say the only reason why I'm like so optimistic is that with like the last version of the internet, there was no like social media for people to talk around the world, be like, oh, this is happening right now, and like you can contribute if you know like what's going on. But right now, like everyone's kind of talking about it on Twitter, like all these different social networks. Like this is kind of like we're kind of like able to watch like the wave of the innovation happening if you're kind of like plugging into the right like spheres. And right now it's like kind of hard to find like who's even like actually working on this stuff, as in like the engineers and all. But I'm hoping that someone actually like credible is doing it and has like the best interest for all of us. But I mean, I'm thinking a lot about like modeling for NFTs. Are you familiar with NFTs?
Your partner gave me a little rundown, a little bit. I have it written down. Non-fungible token.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, my first thought is like right now we're selling artwork, but that's definitely gonna change. Like in the future, like no one's gonna have that much utility for like pieces of art that you're gonna like hang on your wall. So like my first thought was like the outfits that models wear. I feel like that's something that can easily be sold, or like maybe like to the highest bidder. But then again, I'm thinking like maybe the pose or like the environment that you're in, like you can just like kind of have that be the NFT that these like let's say Nike wanted to buy, and then they can just like cycle through that with their own clothing, overlaying it or something like that.
Yeah, that's so true. I also feel like I just thought of this. I like remembered that a lot of brands are doing like CGI models now. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen like the like robot models, but like they aren't really robots. They're just like the animation.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's probably like, I feel like that's probably going to be like a lot more of a thing. Like people are creating their own people.
There's a TikTok account, and it's literally just this AI robot, right? Yeah. And he does like the dances, and he'll do like certain, like he'll do like the viral dances and whatnot. But he also does like outfit changes, and he they created, whoever created that account created an NFT for him. And like there's this one video, and he was literally chopping a cucumber, and like at the end of the video, his like hand started like malfunctioning, and like he like threw the knife at the camera or something. And
that's just like, I do not find that funny. That scares me. That freaks me out. Robots like low-key freak me out. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, it is the world that we're going to. Have you seen that video? There was a video on Instagram, and it was about the newest AI robot, and it has like a human face, and it'll like, its face, it doesn't move like a robot. Its face moves with like the same functions as a human. Yeah, so like it'll like blink.
Dude, I literally feel bad when humans are sad. What if a robot is sad? Like, I don't want more emotional baggage from other things. This is scary.
Yeah, it does make me like a little concerned about how many ads I've probably seen of like not real models being in there, that I just was like, oh, that's just another ad, real people. But that definitely is the trend that's coming up.
Yeah,
it's a big trend. So if there was fashion NFTs, would you want to get into that?
I feel like I would have to just learn more about like the entire world before I like pinpoint something. Obviously I do like to learn, so I'd be curious to like divulge.
Dabble a little bit.
Yeah, just like dip your toe in, you know, get a little rundown. I don't know. I still haven't like thought about images for like.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're like focusing on this like 2D static artwork, but like low-key in the back of my mind, I've just been constantly trying to think about different things that hopefully no one else is thinking about.
Like those old school Pokemon cards that were like holographic, and they like went both ways, so there was two pictures. What if it was like that, like a digital?
It's like that dress on Instagram that was like blue and gold, or like
like colors. That would actually be crazy. Like if it was just like a mind fuck, and it like made people, because that's what they do it's marketing. Remember when there was a new Range Rover that came out, and someone literally just put it in the middle of like New York and then spray painted like cheater, fucking trash, like all over it, and then it was trending on Twitter. No one had cheated.
Yeah.
No one was cheated on. There was no tea. It was literally a marketing tactic to get like the 2017 Range Rover on people's screens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then everyone in the back of their heads, they're like, damn, that was such a nice car that got fucked up. And they're like, oh wait, I gotta go check out that car now. Like, that's the new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as we're like going about marketing our products, it really does open my eyes to like how like real marketing is. Like you kind of need it to get anyone's attention nowadays. Like everyone is going all out for just the people's eyes, and it's really, I underestimated how easy it would be.
Yeah. And just like attention spans, I feel like it's so much easier to make something like 5 seconds long that's just bow, boom, zing, pop, you know, in like people's faces. Like think about commercials before like just such quick and like easily digestible media, like infomercials. They were literally, that was advertisement for like one thing. It was like 20 minutes long. And people watch them. I used to watch them. If you sat me in front of an infomercial now, I think I would gouge my eyes out just because I'd be like, what's going on? Like, I can't even like see, like, I can't focus on this. Attention span is so skewed now.
I mean, that's like for everyone's attention span. Like I think there was a study on attention spans throughout like generations. So like for our generation in school, our attention span is 5 minutes, right? Our attention span is so short, and that's not even just for like little kids. That's for like adults.
I feel like little kids have longer attention spans almost because they can like fixate, and sometimes people just like can't bring themselves to fixate.
No, because it's too much. It's so like, you know how when like we were talking about songs that are really repetitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our brain needs like a new form of information every so often to keep us interested, and that's like the same with music. So like if a song is too repetitive, we already know that he said that verse, right?
Yeah.
And then if he says it again, it's like, why do you keep saying that? And like subconsciously our brain is just like, where's the new information? This is stupid as shit. Like why are we still talking about the same thing? So like in that same instance, when that's like relating to almost about anything, like even in industries, right? It used to be that like one person would do like a whole bunch of tasks, and they would only have that one person because that means that they have less of a liability and they only have to pay that one person. But now most industries, they all work team-based, so each person has a little bit, and then at the end, whenever they're done with that specific project, then it's all comes together. So I think just nowadays, like everyone just needs smaller amount of information, and like the more we go on, like the more we progress, it's going to be shorter and shorter.
But I feel like we have shorter attention spans because there's just so much more information available to us. Like we want to be learning about anything, like whether we recognize that or not. And like with like these TikTok dance videos, like it's crazy how specialized people even get with that. But like there's like the crazy graphic effects about like with them, and it just like you need to really kind of put all out effort into like every single thing that you're doing, and it really like you kind of need these specialized individuals to like promote yourself out there. And it's but going off of the attention span, like I was at work today, and this I was like talking to these patients, and it was like a mother and like her young child in like a stroller, and the mom handed the child the iPad, and I was watching the TV show that the kid was watching, and there were cutscenes like every like second and a half, and it's like I really started thinking about that versus like SpongeBob, for example, where I feel like there were some longer scenes. I think that's like a huge trend I started seeing, that like whether like even these kids or these parents recognize it, like it's just a lot of information getting flooded out of them. Yeah,
I saw something recently saying that parents are like totally boycotting Cocomelon, like the TV show that was like huge apparently. I've never seen it personally. And I have watched a lot of children's show because I used to like babysit. There were some that I didn't like. There were some that I really enjoyed. It's like the whole Peppa Pig and epidemic. Like there was a lot of like US kids, like full on just British accents, and I definitely succumbed to that. Like it was not just the kids, it was everyone. Like, and it was just because like that certain thing was happening, and it was just being fed, like literally spoon fed.
The chocolate, the Peppa Pig chocolate thing? Do you remember that? Was that David Dobrik or something? Maybe he'd be like, Peppa, what are you doing?
Oh no, you literally, no, people would just like, it was Peppa Pig. It was like a huge thing when it first came out, but I was talking more about just people using a British accent. Like, because it's like they have British accents. They're like pigs. It's a family of pigs with British accents, and like I babysat these girls, and they would like speak about biscuits, and I was like, dude, we have nothing even resembling biscuits in this house. How like we like you what like you're saying biscuits and like crumpets, and like we don't have that, so like you're getting it from somewhere else. And I realized it was Peppa Pig. Good show though, love the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how these kids kind of like don't even recognize it, but they're almost forming their identities around whatever information they're like surrounding themselves with. So like maybe they just see all these British people and like they're obsessing over that TV show, and they just like subconsciously start talking with the accent and like using the slang and everything. But
it's
of course
like
that can apply elsewhere.
I find that on TikTok all the time. Like just like random things will just pop in my head, and I'm like, because it's just a sound that I've heard like over and over. Like everyone was obsessing over like the New York interviews or like Coney Island, and it was just bing bong in my head, and I was like, this is a little scary. Like you're living in my head rent free.
fucking fuck your life, big bong.
Literally. And that guy apparently, so it was a homeless guy that they interviewed, and then he like went, it was so viral, but now apparently I think that he's been given compensation. And there was a video and he was like, I'm not on the street anymore. And everyone was like, yay. So good for him.
Well, I mean, I guess that's like more the positive outlook then.
Yeah.
Because there was so much influence that everyone was influenced from those videos, that they were able to give back to that person. And like say those videos never went viral, that person would still be on the streets.
Yeah.
Living in the slums of Coney Island in Brooklyn.
Like the weird butterfly effect.
Very weird.
Like who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yeah. I still think there should be some way to like convert your attention into money. Like where this person, like this homeless guy, if he was bringing in all this attention, I feel like there's got to be some better way of like giving him compensation for that, besides like a what is it called, like the GoFundMe. I have no idea
how they got him the money, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there should be easier ways to like allow people to just like exist and then get compensated for what they're like bringing into the world. Just like credit in general.
How much do you get paid per view? Like once your account is viral, how much do you get paid per view on TikTok?
It depends. So I don't think it's like a direct algorithm how much you get paid per view, but like when it would depend. Like each day you get paid a certain amount based on the videos. So when I was like peak making money, I was making like say like $100 a day, and I was posting like 5 to 8 videos a day. And that's like when my account was kind of like, well, that's when I actually was like approved for the creator fund, because you get approved and then they knock all your views down. And that's like a super big like pattern that creators have found, is that they'll just like, okay, now you want money from us? Like you're gonna have to work a little bit harder. So I think it differs for each person, but like, yeah, my account was making a solid amount for how much I was doing.
Yeah,
but it definitely depends on your views and like how much you post, because some people are posting like 25 videos a day, so like their traffic is going to be a lot crazier.
Do you think they'll ever start like teaching this in schools? Like how to actually
No, they don't want people making money. They need the social reproduction of just allowing people to follow in the steps of their parents so they can continue to keep the classes.
But then like what happens when we are the parents? So they're like the kids are following in the steps of.
Well, that is different, because apparently everyone is like, Gen Z's gonna be pretty weird parents compared to everyone else. Like weird isn't just like not the average parent.
Well, because like
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't want to have kids in our generation. Like I've heard that a lot.
Very strong trend.
Yeah, just kind of being like, we don't know how this is gonna play out.
Because I feel like our generation is just, I think we're just a little bit more self-aware, because like for our parents, right, they're like, you know, pushed college, pushed school, pushed like academics, right? And they're like, that's what will make you successful.
But at the time that was true, like for them, like it was true to a sense, obviously, but like everyone was on board with that. Like, yeah, like the majority, you know?
Yeah.
Like but there was less skepticism.
It's like all like skill based, and it's less like, for instance, like the universities like across the US just changed their average graduation time from 4 years to 6, right? So so as in like on their website, instead of it saying like this is a 4-year university, they would say it's like a 6-year university.
Is that because they want people to stay there longer, or because people aren't graduating within 4 years?
No, because on average for at least 20 to 30 years, the average majority of students coming out of college did not graduate in 4 years, they graduated in 6.
Yeah.
Or in the middle of that. So like, for instance, like it's basically the university stated they were scamming people into thinking that, oh, if I go to this university, I will graduate in 4 years. Like making people think, oh, that is the average. If you graduate in 4 years, you're part of a minority, which is, it's funny to think about, but it makes sense, because like when you think about people who like, maybe they take a gap year to work, right? Work to pay for their tuition, or they take a gap year to intern, or they go take a gap year to travel abroad, or for like students who transfer schools, and then their credits decrease because each school has like set classes, and some of those classes don't correlate, so they'll take off credits. And it's just one of those things where like they didn't want to give us that information because they wanted us to keep us in the dark so that we would just continue to pay. Because if it takes someone 6 years, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm just going to be done with school. They're just going to take 6 years and pay the exact same amount of tuition. So why would the university want to tell people that on average it's 6 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, keep on going back and forth between thinking that college is going to be like in the future for those that don't know exactly like what they want to do with their time, like with their careers. But then I think about like the research that they're doing at these universities, and it seems like if you actually know exactly what you want to do and you want to be super specialized, then you kind of have to go start learning somewhere. But I feel like there's a huge gap in between where like people like yourself that wanted to get into modeling, like you're not really, there's no point of going to take college classes if that's like your goal. I feel like there's that like kind of specialized training is, I don't know how that's going to happen, but ideally that's going to be something in the future.
Yeah, I don't know, because honestly, I feel like a lot of the fields that colleges are not like catering to, just of what people can do, like a lot of the entertainment industry, like the music industry. Obviously, there are like certain specialized universities or like programs that do kind of allow you to get a little bit of leeway in there, but I feel like they just need, I'm talking about like they, like who's they? I feel like those groups of like career paths, they're so exclusive in a way that like if everyone was given like the tools to do them, it would not work for the society that we live in now. Like you need to have those few people that are just like the top of the top charts, like Drake and like Justin Bieber, like all of like those super famous people, and then you kind of go down to like the B-list celebrities, like the C-list, like there's like those levels. Like you're not gonna find as many A-list celebrities as like C-list celebrities, you know, because you kind of have to keep them separate. And like if everyone was kind of like just produced out of college the way that like a business major, like a psych major like myself is, like those are very popular career choices, you know. Like if everyone was doing music and stuff the way that they would do like regular college courses, it would just not be, it wouldn't be as profitable for an industry. It wouldn't be as like specialized to like get people to like one person, then put as much like attention to them as possible. Like there wouldn't be like that kind of like secret behind the scenes way of doing things, which is super apparent.
I wonder how early you can find who those A-list or B-lists or C-list celebrities are going to be. Like it almost seems like college is like blending everyone together, and you're all kind of coming out at like an equal point. But if like Drake and Justin Bieber went to college, like do you think they still would have been like have the stardom to get up to like where they are? Like how soon do you have to kind of find those individuals and take them out of the system that they're gonna go down and kind of be like normalized and kind of?
You'd be so surprised how early people have been discovered and how late they've been like released. Like it's so weird to me when I like hear people kind of talking about like the timeline of things, and it just happens with like labels, with like agents, managers, like all those people that are kind of like in charge. They have such a like perfected algorithmic schedule of how they allow people to be like pushed out into the world and like digested. Like they need to do it in a certain way that will make, first of all, that it won't be so obvious, even though a lot of the time it kind of is. But like that whole like scheme, it's not like a scheme, but it's kind of a scheme. Like, yeah. I mean, Justin Bieber was kind of a phenomenon. Obviously, he's like kind of in his own field, but like he was discovered when he was like 11. Like they knew that he was like that guy when he was like 11, and then he was like 12 and saw Usher outside of like a recording studio and was like, listen to me sing. And then Usher was like, okay, I'm obviously gonna like take you in. And like Chris Brown, he was one of the huge stars. Like he still is super in the charts and stuff. Like he was releasing music when he was 15. Like a lot of people have been just starting so young, and then they'll just continue on, but it just depends when they're gonna get dropped. Like Doja Cat, like she was like on SoundCloud and stuff, but like she kind of just like blew up, you know? And like I feel like that was perfectly timed. Like there was a demand for like that kind of superstar, and then she supply the demand, you know?
Yeah.
Like Kid Leroy, he's like a young person. There was a demand for a new young Justin Bieber type person.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, like it's just one of those things, you know?
Yeah, it feels like society, like in that way, is just like an ever-growing, just like theater that is like there's like the puppet masters that are controlling everything, and like we're just sitting in the audience, and it seems like orchestrated when you kind of think about how like planned everything probably is, and yeah.
And however entertained you are, as long as you're entertained, you're not gonna be looking for, like, you're not gonna find a problem if you don't immediately see a problem, you know?
And that kind of applies to like everything, right? So I was thinking about the other day, I was like, it's so weird that the riots for so like first you had your Black Lives Matter protest, right, during Trump's reign, right?
Yeah.
So he was president at that time, and then Biden gets elected, and then they immediately revert to the what is it, with the Capitol Hill riot, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like they were just trying to play a bias towards both groups. So like you had your left group that they're like, yeah, Black Lives Matter is like they're really hitting it home. They're making sure that people understand what their like ideology is, that type of thing. And then Biden gets elected in the office, so they're like, okay, now we need to get the other side riled up, right? So then they do the Capitol riots and they start charging people, and then the other side is like, oh, now we gotta start riling up. And then like I've heard so like our area, we have like it's a pretty good mix of like all views, but like there's a lot of people that I've heard of saying that like, oh, the revolution's coming, and I'm like, dude, this is so weird. This this had to have been planned. Like someone had to have been like, oh, I wonder how we can fuck with like everyone in majority.
Yeah.
Like just division is so necessary when we have the numbers that we do, because like think about it, America, there's a lot of people that live in America. There's a lot of people.
87 million.
Like that's a shit ton of people. How many people are in charge?
One.
Not that many. Like not that many. So like think about it. If everyone was on the same side, there's no shot they're the white flag is getting raised, you know, like they're fucking surrendering. But as long as everyone is not on the same page, it's very easy to, first of all, keep everyone kind of in their respective groups, and then also just to make sure that they're never like on the same path. And it's funny because on the internet and stuff, like I'll just see videos where people that are like not pro free healthcare be like, well, why is the COVID vaccine free? Like, why isn't everything else free? Why isn't healthcare free? Huh? And it's like,
yeah,
you're there. Like I can see the gears working. Like you just need to put a little bit more into it. And it's just kind of like, oh my God. Like,
yeah. I mean, it seems almost like very clear to us that there are some like social engineers that are taking control of like the narrative, but it's just like the loudest voices in the room are the ones that are so like polarized and like going against one another. And like in reality, they're probably the vast minority. And at some point, I feel like the scales have to switch where like we are like majority, and like we're all kind of recognizing like what's going on, and we can see like we just don't have to do this anymore.
I don't think that'll ever happen, because one thing that like starting to really think about this have made me realize is that a majority of people are not smart. They're
and how people want to think.
Exactly.
Like,
they'd rather be fed information and not have to think about it than actually deduce the information and be like, okay, is this logical? What is this actually accurate? Like, let me do my due diligence and do some research. No.
But it's also like, I completely sympathize with people not wanting to be aware of what's going on. I totally get that, you know? Like, I agree that I don't think that much is like gonna happen in our lifetime based on like actual constructive, like concrete changes. I think that a lot of like ideas are being raised and a lot of good questions are being asked, but like it's just like these little individual ideas, these little like nitpicky ideas that just people, and it is kind of like the social like instigators, like the media, the news, like just people in general, like people that like to use Twitter a lot. Like it's just so easy to just say like certain words because our vocabulary has grown so much in like the past 10 years of just like how people are able to speak about controversial and like political issues. there's so much vocabulary now that we didn't have before, that people are just like, I'm going to use all of it, and I'm going to use it in a way that just makes other people infuriated. Like, you can't even say certain words without people just immediately being like, no, I hate you. And I find that in myself. Like, someone will literally just be like, oh, I like Trump. And immediately I'm just like, oh my God. But it's like, in reality, what, like, that ignited such a fire in me. And the reason it ignited such a fire in me is because I have such a clear list of what I identify with that word. And I could be completely off. Like, obviously there are certain things that like I'm aware of that like I know are correct, but like it's about everything. It goes along with like people, with like places that you support, like businesses that you go to, like brands that you use, like how you interact with family members. Like, I feel like a lot of hatred is fear-based, and it's just so easy to fearmonger and like just make people fearful for their own stability, their family's stability, that it's become such an individual issue that it's just completely taking away from the idea that if people did join together to like fight for a greater good, that would work. But like everything is so personal and so individual now. And like, as it kind of should be, because there are a lot of personal individualized like issues, but like for the big issues, that is definitely taking away from like kind of solving those, or not even solving, but just finding solutions that are going to lead us into a place where like resolution could occur, you know?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's so interesting that we come into like this time of society where it's like almost like a catalyst kind of like opportunity. Like, it's not like we're just like hunting and gathering, like living on a farm or something like in the Industrial Revolution. Like, it's actually a time where things could change. And it's like, why are we here at this time of age? You know, like, it's almost like we are here to play some kind of role in this, whether we recognize that or maybe we can see that opportunity come and go. So that's personally like my take on it. I don't want to like kind of take everything from like the back seat and just observe everything. I'm just trying to see like, how can I not forcefully like take control in changing the society and however I see is best fit for us all.
Yeah, and that's like, it's, if you want to take control of like your life and your purpose and like what you want to motivate and like what you want to motivate yourself, that is, I feel like that's the best thing that you should do. You should always think about yourself and like your loved ones, but like do it in a way that you can not only benefit your close, like trusted circle, but like it will eventually, if not immediately, benefit everyone else, you know? Like, I'm totally all about that. I feel like when people's basic needs are met, everyone is happy. But like, my basic needs are not going to be met if someone's fucking yelling at me across the street because somebody spat in their cereal, you know? Yeah, like, it doesn't even matter how much it's like, I want to do this for like a certain group of people. If it's not thought about for everyone, it doesn't matter. It can't work unless everyone is thought of. And I think that's the problem that we have right now, is that no one's being thought of. Only a very small group of people are being thought of.
Mm-hmm. Like, that analogy you just was fucking hilarious. I was just thinking about if that happened in real life. Like, you're in your house and you're just like chilling. You're doing something you normally do, and you just hear someone yell across the street, "This fucking bitch just like spat in my cereal," and you're like, okay, like, what am I supposed to do?
Like, you just interrupt. Like, literally, think about this. Think about this. This is what I've been thinking about, and Josh, you already know about this, but literally, it has been probably 13 days since this incident has happened, and it still plagues me. My neighbor threw a piece of pizza, not one, but two, at my car, and he screamed, "Fuck you, bitch." And we don't have beef. We do not have beef. Like, I have had civil conversation with this person, and we do not have like any type of beef. So when he did that, I was just like racking my pea brain. Yeah. Why did you do that? And that has plagued me for 13 days. And I'm like, he's unhappy, clearly, because you don't waste two perfectly good pieces of pizza if you're happy. You're not doing that. And that unsettled me. So it's like, it doesn't matter if I'm like doing all the things that I can. I'm like lighting my candles, hydrating, like doing good for me, thinking about what I want to do with my life and like what my purpose is. As long as my neighbor keeps on throwing pieces of pizza at my car, I'm not going to be happy. So like, I need to make sure that he's fed too.
Yeah.
Because clearly the food's not being ingested by him. Like,
Yeah.
you
So I
know,
guess,
that's the kind of way I think about it, is like, no matter what, it can't even be an individual problem. It's always going to be like, I want to solve it for everyone, even if that's like a long term.
Yeah, I mean, starting this project with Josh and I, and everyone else that's like a part of it, I personally, like, of course there's a financial incentive for me to begin it and get all my friends involved, because like personally I want like financial freedom to where like I'm not having to work like to earn a living. And my goal was to buy an island and just live out there for the rest of my life. But the more I've kind of like come to realize, like, how can I be so content living on an island when I have all this other chaos going on around the world? And it just like, I feel like I don't see myself being perfectly like satisfied unless I just continuously try to develop I don't know, like myself and those around me.
New projects. And I think one thing that always resonates with me is that like every project we create, no matter who creates it, we all want to be a part of it, because like, and the long and the short of it, the project could be either extremely good for society, or maybe society doesn't want it at that time. But the point is that we worked on it together and we were able to really create something that we had a passion for. And I think that's probably the most important thing, is that just like keeping it as a passion instead of looking at the things that are material. Because as long as it's a passion, like, so for the original company Varos, like the whole purpose was to help patients be educated and implement it in a way where it could possibly be used for other practices and like educational purposes for like students or for like medical professionals, that type of thing. So like in a way it was kind of helping everyone in one niche, right?
Yeah.
But expanding into being able to help everyone on like a general level is probably like, that's like the biggest goal for anyone. But like that, I think that's a big goal for us too.
Yeah, but then if there's going to be like another goal right after that, then like, why do I feel so stressed to meet like deadlines when in reality, like the destination itself is no different than like the journey. Like they're really like, they're kind of one and the same.
Yeah. If anything, I don't even believe in destinations, because the second that you get somewhere, someone's just like, oh, it's actually that way. Like,
it's time to go somewhere else.
Yeah. No, completely. I've been thinking a lot about like impact that I want to leave and like what I want to do just kind of with the skills that I've acquired. And like, I don't know, it's difficult to like kind of think about short-term, like just plans like that, but it's also really difficult to think about long-term plans. And like, as much as I want to help everyone, like I just don't even know where to begin. So I feel like my mindset so far in my life has kind of been like, you're gonna like do everything kind of for yourself, and then you're gonna get to a point where you are successful enough that you can just like hand out. Like literally, like I would just buy a bunch of property and just like make like free living spaces for like homeless people, because that is like the only way that you can truly help someone. Because if you're just making it like low income housing, it's not going to be that. Someone else is going to want to buy you out. So you have like, I want to get to a place where I have enough like financial freedom, like you said. Like I want disposable income that I just don't need, because I don't hoard my money. I've never hoarded I like spending, but I also like spending on other people. I've always enjoyed spending on other people. Like there's just some type of gratitude that you get when you see someone smile, because you're just like, nah, I got you. Like, yeah. It's just so nice. So like to do that on like a bigger scale, I feel like it'd be super important, but I don't want to do it in a way that would allow someone else to take power over that and turn it into something bad. So like, if anything, I feel like I want to play the capitalistic system, make a bunch of money because this is the way that we make money. Like this is just how our society is set up, and then use that to just like find loopholes for other people. Because I know that I can play this system. Like I'm very privileged, and I have a lot of just like areas to succeed. Like there's no excuse that I should not succeed.
Yeah, I mean, just complaining is not really going to get us too far. We might as well try to beat them at their own system.
Yeah, like it's literally like, oh, who was this? I think it was like Bill Gates' wife. They like got divorced and she took like all of the money and was just like, donate, like fuck you, donate to like all the places that are just not helping him. And I was like, that's great. Like, good for you, because he's not doing it, so you may as well show.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example, because like Google was originally made so that it could connect people with services and solve problems, right? So it was originally a good thing.
Yeah.
But it turned into a place where Google not only sells your information, but sells your data to make it more specific to you, and then allow other like things to be in your life. So like, for instance, when I told you about like, what the government can do in like selling information, Google is a main like portion of like information that is sold. They can, like, anything you search up, they're then able to be like, oh, this person looked up this data, and then the NSA is going to be like, all right, well, we'll put that in his file of information. And not only that, but like Bill Gates, he has billions of dollars, right? Did you know that he like neglected his children? Like he had children, and then like basically they didn't get to have the fruits of that treasure that he created. And they were just like, he put them in like, they had their own like little mini house, and he had this massive mansion, this grandiose mansion that like he just chilled in, and his kids were just like almost suffering, I guess. I don't know.
But totally being neglected, that's like even worse than being bullied. Like at least you get attention when you're being bullied. It's negative, granted, but like you're not being like ignored. I feel like neglect is one of the most harmful like ways that people can treat others, and it breaks my heart like seeing people receive that. But I feel like that just preaches the idea of it doesn't matter what kind of money you have, it depends on how you use it. Like it's no different from if you're walking past someone that like is asking for money. It's no different if you have $100 in your pocket and you hand them $1. If you have $1 in your pocket, you hand them $1. I mean, I guess it is different, but like
it's different.
At least you're still like, I mean, I don't
You're giving.
know.
You're
I
giving.
know what I was trying to like make. I like thought I had something, and then just when I said it, I was like, what? Like, I don't know. I lost it. I don't know.
I mean, going off Josh's point though, of like Google starting off with a good idea, but then it kind of got distorted and it ultimately like caused some harm. I feel like I've been thinking about that in terms of like this metaverse development company, and it seems like ultimately I have an idea that will bring like financial freedom ideally to me and my like surrounding like immediate close network of friends.
Yeah.
But I don't want, like, I've seen so many dystopian movies that are like, oh, the metaverse is going to ruin society and everything. I'm like, I'm directly contributing to that by creating this company, like, or not directly, like indirectly, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like there's a fine line between having the initial idea that like ultimately I trusted and believed in versus like second guessing myself along the road. Like, I don't know if this is just like a defense mechanism from wanting to commit to this or who knows what.
I feel like it's somewhat of a defense mechanism because like, so for instance, like being able to create something, it takes a certain amount of brain power because usually people do not like change. They want to stay as normal as possible because they know the things that are normal will work. But when you have to think outside the box and you're trying to create something new, your brain is automatically going to fight against it because it's not a normal thing. It is now considered a what if, and your brain doesn't like what ifs. It likes certainty.
It just depends if you want to adapt or not.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's also like, I feel like if you're gonna have those ideas where you're, and I am such a person that like does this, like I always like kind of like make statements and then I'm like, I don't really give people like the benefit of like rationalizing their thought or like giving them empathy when I think something like super strongly. But I feel like if we're allowing, God, I keep on like completely like blacking out and like not remembering what I'm supposed to like, or like what I was trying to convey. What did you just say? Can you just like say what you said again for like 2 seconds?
You're Josh.
Josh.
Oh, I was talking about how our brains don't like change, they like normalization.
Yes. Okay. I feel like if we're gonna say that people don't like change, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt and understand that like a lot of the change that has been like implemented has just not been positive, and it has reaped so much destruction, like for families, for like greater populations of people, and like change is scary because the changes that have been implemented like in like a patternized way for the past like however many years have just, I mean, look where we are. Yeah. Like what's going on, you know? And I feel like the most of the people that are like affected by that, because the 99% of people are, well, not 99%, but like 90% of people, these are very loose numbers. I'm not finding these numbers places. I'm just kind of like making thoughts, but like, okay, a certain percentage of people are like working class and under, you know? And like, they're gonna be affected way differently by these big decisions that people make. And it's like, oh, this is change, this is good. We're like making change. And it's just like, look, if the change hasn't been good for the last 3 times y'all have changed everything, most of the time, like I totally sympathize with the fact that people don't want things to change. So they're like, look, it's bad right now, but if you make it worse, I'm really gonna be upset. Like, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. It almost seems like society was like going equal, and then like kind of dipped down, and it had to like do a spring back up.
Yeah.
I hope at least. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's like a necessary. It's just strange how society can change so much like that, and like such macro scale trends.
Yeah, it just goes back to what I said with like, if everyone is not being thought of, it's never going to be sustainable. It's never going to be long term. It's never gonna allow for people to settle in a way that is comfortable, you know? Like, but that's also just what we live in right now, is that if someone is succeeding, there has to be someone failing. If someone's winning, there has to be someone losing. If there's a really like rich person, there's always gonna be a really poor person. Like, if the scale is big enough, there has to be 2 sides. You don't have a scale with one side. That's not how it works. It's physics. Like, I dropped out of school, but I know what scales, I know how they work.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so true. Because like, for instance, like, what was it? Who created the light bulb?
Was that
Edison.
Edison? Yeah.
But then Tesla, he had like a way better version of that, right? But we went with Edison's version because he was, I guess, more popular at the time. I don't know even how he would be popular, because like, think about it. He's in this like small group of people, and like around the world, no one cares about him. They don't know who he is. They're like, who the fuck is that? And then Edison comes, or Tesla comes along. He has this whole new idea. It's way better. It's more profitable. Imagine if we went Tesla instead of Edison. How different our world would be.
I mean, like, thinking about it like that, it makes me wonder, like, Africa is not really in social media, at least like in like the TikTok servers that I'm scrolling through. It feels like there's yeah, I mean, it seems like, imagine a world where like we're all kind of able to, like, right now it's just like America, it seems like, at least like what I'm scrolling through, but if we're all able to contribute, I feel like there's so many good ideas that are just not making it like the light of day.
Yeah, no, I totally wish that there was more ways to connect with the rest of the world that wasn't so curated and wasn't so just like, if it's not for a very specific reason, and like you're signing up and like paying money to be in a certain program or whatever, like, I feel like it's just so difficult, especially when a lot of the platforms that you like would be able to reach out to people are just, again, they're marketing media platforms. They're going to like keep you with people that you know, because they want you to reach out to people. They want you to message and use all of the factors that they've like designed for the specific programs and whatnot. Yeah. Like, I feel like the only way that people really get that like outside experience from like their little bubble, because like even when I'm in Vermont versus California, I have a completely different social media page, like always. When I'm in Vermont, it shows me Vermont accounts. When I'm in California, it shows me California accounts. Because I have both, but it just doesn't show me one or the other when I'm in certain, because that's the location services. Like, it just goes back towards every single thing that you're like logging in, you know? So like, if there was a way to connect with the outer world that wasn't regulated and like supervised, like, I feel like I'm at like a 6th grade dance. Like, there's chaperones everywhere. I got no room to breathe, like, you know?
I guess the metaverse then is the best bet. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Because it's like that division. As long as you're not having those groups of people convulge and like converse and have ideas together and make breakthroughs together and actually put that puzzle piece where it needs to go instead of turning it one way. Like, that would create problems that we don't have now for the people that are implementing all of these programs.
Yeah, right now, like, hearing it's like the red versus blue as just an example. Like, those are large groups of people kind of facing off against one another. But let's say like in the metaverse, there's like everyone has like their own micro interactions, and I wonder like which one would be more meaningful, like one that like polarizes you just to like the political realm, or one that is like a division on like every single possible front, if that's even possible. I feel like it could be just in the metaverse, you're so individual, like you just only spend your time and attention on like what actually is meaningful to you, and it feels like there's almost too many possibilities to actually divide every single person in each way.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to look at it.
Well,
And
then-
especially it's like, how would people, like, who's actually going to be completely different than their real life self? Like, if I were in the metaverse, like with the little VR glasses, like doing it, I'm probably going to be on my couch like majority of the time because it's comfortable. I like watching TV and I'm easily entertained. I don't need that much stimulation when it comes to like entertainment, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like there are certain people that would want to like use all of the resources available and go and like do a bunch of cool stuff. So I really feel like it just depends on the user base in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I guess we come in, where we're trying to think of a way to make it so people are not just completely clocking out of like their physical lives, and like just because it's so like amazing to be in like this headset. And I mean, we've been trying to like rack our brains about like the best ways of doing so, really like incentivizing people to take care of their like actual like their bodies and like the world around them, and not just completely ignore everything.
I wonder if there would be like hours to it, like the actual like public ones, like people, if they had their own ones, could probably like just use it whenever. But like if there were I guess servers, I like don't even know what the lingo is, but like servers where like you could go and like go to a virtual concert or like go to other places, like if it would be 24/7 the way that our world is now. Because like if you're in a certain place, you can get food anywhere, you can see music anywhere at any time. Like I wonder if they would want to do it like that, or if they would want to kind of like ease people in and like allow them like just the space to make a routine for themselves that would be like healthy, rather than just like push everything all at once. But also, what would be more profitable? Like, you want people to be like obsessed, you want people to be super in that, so they'll spend the money and they want the best outfits, they want to go to the most exclusive shows. There's a metaverse Soho house. Oh, you want to go there, you gotta rack up your whatever, like crypto, you know, like it's just those things. Like
Yeah, that made me think, if like let's say there's like a concert that I wanted to go to, like could you guys log into like my account and like we're all wearing our individual headsets, but like I'm the only one that's paying and you guys are just watching, or I can live stream it.
Like, are they gonna think about that and like block it out so you can't do that? Like,
yeah, I don't think anyone has.
What if you take a test in the metaverse? Like, what if it's school? What if there's like education in there? Like, how are they going to stop people from cheating? Like, who knows the codes? Like, there's just so much stuff that I have no even clue what would go on.
I mean, education is already that's already a thing. Like in Europe, they're already using like virtual reality as a way to educate and take tests in certain schools.
Yeah, it seems like
standardized testing. Do you know if it's like how they're testing people?
So like, from what I like was watching on it, basically like they put on the VR headsets and they'd be in like a classroom setting, and they're able to like interact with other students and like do their normal coursework, but in VR. I don't know what program they're using, or like how they're able to take whatever's done, like whatever classwork is done, and submit it into like a teacher like forum or something. I don't know. It's such a weird concept, and I'm kind of confused on how they're doing it right now, at least.
Yeah, I don't know, all that stuff it like a little bit freaks me out. Actually, a lot of it freaks me out. I saw like something, I don't even know if it's real because I can't tell like what is real or not. That's a joke, but like sometimes I can't. Sometimes I just don't look close enough to figure it out. I'm just lazy, I'll say that. But there was a video and it was like Elon Musk talking about like a chip, and I was just like, no.
That's real. That's real.
That freaks me out so much.
And he's creating a phone too. And I'm guessing what's gonna happen is that phone is gonna be connected to the chip in your head. So like you wouldn't even have to say, hey Siri, you'd just be like, I need to call this person, and then they would call them immediately.
Yeah.
That's not good though, because I mean I would not do that, because I would literally, like, the amount of the speed that my thoughts just rattle off, I only pick like a few of them to share with everyone else. A lot is going on up there. I don't want it to just act on it. Like if I'm like, what if I dream that I want to call my friend? I'm asleep. They're listening to my dream. Like,
yeah, someone.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That freaks me out.
When I was in college, like I studied neuroscience, and so one of my labs, they had this headset that we wore, and you pretty much just thought, and like on a screen you're playing Pong, where it's like two lines and you had to like try to score the ball on like the other side. And I was playing a computer, and I was wearing it. I was just like thinking like go up or go down, and I did not score a single point. And that's just like me giving information, and like my fear is like, of course the opposite is going to be like doable. So I don't want like external thoughts coming into my head. And ultimately, I think that's kind of the direction that is probably the most dystopian possibility.
Yeah, because you're already able to feed people information and like skew opinions and make people think like certain ways with more weight or less weight. That's already available to everyone. Like you can do that. It's just basic psychology. A lot of people have already utilized that. So to do it on like that scale, that really freaks me out, and I hope that I am not on this world anymore once they get there.
Yeah, because then like Neuralink, let's say like the ones that host it, they can charge like $1 billion to do advertisements with that, and then McDonald's one that has $1 billion to spend, so then they can like pay Neuralink and be like, I want you to send a message to everyone's brains that they are just craving a Big Mac, and then like there's just nothing that we can possibly do at that
Or
point.
like think on a larger scale, like if like the president was like, you know what, I want to serve infinite terms, or like someone leader is like, I want to just be the president forever. You could just be like, you could just pay them and be like, send out a message that everyone wants me to be the dictator of this country, and then boom, dictator, and then it's it.
Really, the world's too populated, cannibalism, but only in this area, only with these people, only with like people that I don't like. Cannibalism. Like that's sketch.
Yeah, it makes me
And
wonder
what
if
if
like
we die? Is it still like, are we over? Zombies? Oh no.
Wait, okay. Have you heard of, there's this fungi, right? And this fungi, it's able to, so once like a insect dies, it's able to take over that insect and then control its body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
so like,
no, I'm pretty sure I saw my dad show me that video. He's like obsessed with like mushrooms and fungi and everything like that.
wow.
So like what
It's
if
like
in that
zombies.
case, like when we die, they're like, oh, we're already connected to his brain. We can just like use his motor functions and then just like use you for whatever the hell they want.
Literally.
Oh no.
Yeah,
That's so
sometimes I
bad.
think of like celebrities are already kind of getting in that direction. Where like if they were to break the agenda, let's say, then things would go south according to like the social engineers' plans. So like why not kind of just like test run the whole system like you just described, but do it in like these people that are like always wearing like the, I don't know, like heavily edited features or makeup or who knows what.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure.
Do you think, okay, this is not on topic whatsoever, Marley, but do you think that certain people are cloned?
Cloned?
So like there's this whole like conspiracy theory that like Kodak Black and like Gucci Mane were cloned, and like their actual like bodies are dead, and these are like cloned versions of the artists.
What about Avril Lavigne too?
Yeah. Do you think that is plausible?
I don't know if I think that it is, but I don't think it's like released to the public. I don't think that those people are like people that are on such a wide screen for just like public viewing. I don't think that it's like known. But I truly believe that like there's a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors. I love conspiracies and I like just like feeding into them sometimes and just like going into loopholes. So I definitely think that like it's not even like that I actually believe it, but it's like it hasn't been proven. Like it's just like to think about, you know?
Yeah.
Like, with everything that has been kind of like shed light on, like that we figured out that it's like I keep on saying like so many times. I keep on becoming like super aware of myself of what I'm saying. It's tripping me out. Okay, pause, rewind, start over.
I was personally thinking about the whole idea of the clones. Like you can either, with like I guess conspiracy theories in general, you can like take like the point of view and be like fast forward it, like if that was true, then like what would it look like down the line? Then also you can like rewind and be like, all right, if that's true and it's actually possible, then who actually created it? Like who are like the scientists that figure out it's even possible? And you can do like every single possible like scenario in between.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the people that have just like disappeared on our world have definitely been used for like experiments and like that type of stuff. So I totally believe that there's plenty resource to like get to that point if we haven't already gotten there. Like there's just so much stuff that goes on that's like behind closed doors that it's like, this is super creepy. And there's a lot of sus stuff that I do know is true that definitely makes me believe that like this type of stuff could be true, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's not that kind of crazy that it's like, no, that could never happen. Like a flying pig, that could never happen. But like this kind of stuff, it's like, could definitely happen.
It could be plausible. I mean, I think it's definitely somewhat true because we already have gene editing. So like there's already companies where like one of our friends, Arjun, he's about to be a sales rep for a gene editing company. And basically what they do is they're able, like the original purpose was good. It was to find like genes that were going to affect the future infant negatively. Like say someone had like a syndrome, like they were able to locate that this person had like Down syndrome or this person had like what's that one? It has to do with their spinal cord and basically their life expectancy.
Cerebral palsy.
Yeah, cerebral palsy, or like they have cystic fibrosis, those type of things, and they were able to take that gene away from them, right? They were able to be like, okay, we don't want that gene anymore. We don't want them to be born with it. Delete the gene, right? But now there's been like whole bunch of thought on it, and technically you could use that gene editing to then edit a person and make them like an elite being. Be like, okay, this person is going to be born super strong, super fast, super intelligent. He's going to be the best of the best, right? And then that person is just going to be born and be like crazy intelligent, crazy strong, crazy fast. And
I don't think that I'm like on board with that type of stuff. Like even to change someone's like DNA like that. Like personally, I personally do not like think of people like part of the disabled community that have like born like birth like disabilities. Like I don't feel like they have like less quality of life. The only reason that I feel like they do have a lesser quality of life is because of the way that our society is. Like, I truly think that if we fixed everything else, we wouldn't need that stuff. Like, we wouldn't want people to not have like certain like disabilities or certain like just ways about them, you know? Like, obviously, I don't want my kid to be in a wheelchair because their school has a wheelchair ramp at the back of the school, you know? Like, I don't want them to have to deal with that. I don't want them to have to deal with kids being assholes. If that wasn't a thing, I don't feel like I would want to go through all of the effort to change the being that has already, like, you know, that just feels like you're playing God, like that role of just like, I'm gonna do this, you know? And I feel like it's not even that it's like a whole sense of like fairness. I don't believe that like just, you can't think of life that way. It'll eat away at you and just completely like take away a lot. But I don't know. I feel like that's just kind of like people taking a power role because it's really accessible. It's so accessible to be like, well, obviously that person doesn't have a good quality of life. Look at them. Like they have to do all of this extra stuff to have like a good quality of life.
Yeah.
Why do they have to do the extra stuff? Like you're asking the wrong questions. You're trying to fix things when the clear solution's here. You just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like you want to make a program where people have to spend a shit ton of money so they don't have to spend a shit ton of money once their kid's born. Like it's literally just that give or take. And the only reason why people are so stressed out when their kids have something, like if they have like a medical problem or they like have a neurodivergency like thing going on in their brain, the only reason why it's more difficult to deal with those kids is because there's no resources for those kids, because it's easier to have people like pay more money for just kind of like putting a band-aid on something rather than actually fixing it. It's why the healthcare system charges for treatment instead of cures.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a way to make money. So I feel like when I think about that stuff, it's just like, I could give a fuck about fixing someone, they don't need to be fixed. What needs to be fixed is how they're treated and how they're accepted into this entire world that we were just put on. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, my take on it is like with Josh saying like you can either not get any like let's say for your kids, you can either have them be just like normal kids like without any gene editing, or there's going to be a group of people that are going to go for that, and then ultimately from there we're going to be split between either gene edited or not gene edited, and eventually that's going to come down to like the antibiotic resistance, where like these superhumans are not going to be like phased by some super bug, but then everyone else on like us normal people are going to be wiped out by that, and then it's just going to be them.
It's allowing, it's that two-sided coin again. That group is so much easier to deal with than a different group. So the other group that's not as easy to deal with, because we've been set up in a world, or that like that's like the world like in the future, if that were to go on. Like the people that were not edited would become the group that would be easily exploited, because they need medication now. They need certain like resources that the other people don't need. That's gonna skyrocket in price, however we're paying for it, you know? Like it just keeps on circling, because if we do the same things, we're just expecting people to like go along with it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do anything. It's the same thing. That's what I think the metaverse, if it continues to hold the same values that we have in our world right now, money over everything, it's just going to fall into a dystopian like world that we already live in. We're going to have to make a new metaverse. It's going to be Metaverse 2.0 to escape the metaverse, because it turned into a fucking like exploitive capitalistic hellhole. Like,
yeah, it seems like we're almost like
that's literally the definition of insanity. If you keep on doing the same thing expecting different results, you're insane.
Yeah, and we're like doing the same thing, but we're like injecting it with steroids now and just doing it like 10 times faster, expecting something else to happen.
And just putting a different title on it. It's like, no. This is something different. I promise. Like, America is literally that annoying uncle that asks the money for family because they thought of a new rideshare app that's better than Uber. Dude, you said this 5 times already. We don't want to give you shit because you don't deliver. Like, it's like everyone deals with someone like that, and yet no one wants to. I mean, it's not even no one wants to. No one has the power to overtake the looming presence that has just been implemented on everyone. Yeah.
I just feel like I have some desire to throw like a wrench in the whole system, but I just like one little like tiny person, but I don't know.
No, it's really, it's like, it's painful, because you just have to be like, oh, well, this is a great idea. Shit. The only way that we're able to do something with it is if we do it in a way that makes it, like, first of all, profitable for someone else. Like, I feel like my friend Kevin explains it perfectly. He wants to get to a place where he never has to work for survival. He can just work for himself.
Yeah.
Like, if you're working for someone else, you're working to survive. But if you're working for yourself, you are working because, like, I forget what philosopher was talking about this, but just like, I'm pretty sure that they said that people want to work. Like, obviously not like unfair labor jobs that we've created right now, but just like working for like accomplishment. Like, you go for a run and you feel accomplished. You do the dishes, you feel accomplished. Like, you're doing that for yourself. I hate doing other people's dishes. Fuck other people. I don't want to do their dishes. When I do my dishes, it's a time. I've got a little bowl, I'll take my ring off, put on my gloves, I'm feeling fancy, the water's warm, the soap smells nice, it's great. But if you're gonna make me do my dishes and someone else's dishes with literally just someone like punching me in the neck the entire time, I'm not gonna wanna do it. Right? No one's gonna wanna do it.
Yeah, no.
That's why like it pisses me off when people are like, oh, there's a labor shortage because people don't wanna work. Come on. I'm so bored, and I like just had a job interview today. Like, I'm getting a job when we work 2 jobs. I'm so bored not working. I still don't want to work like 2 of these jobs. They're not going to treat me the way that I want to be treated.
Yeah.
But it's like,
you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah. So,
and that's kind of a dig. I do want to work these jobs. Like, I'm excited for them, and they're gonna be like good jobs. But on the other side, I'm like, I literally have to go get fingerprinted at a police station to work in a school.
Are you gonna substitute teach?
No, I'm gonna do like an after school program. Like, even to volunteer at schools, you have to get fingerprinted twice.
Jeez.
And it's just like,
ooh, we're treating these kids so bad that we now have to get fingerprinted. Like,
Yeah,
Literally.
what did y'all do?
I don't want to know.
No.
Yeah.
Like, terrifying.
I mean, with everything that we've talked about today, it really does kind of just like illuminate why so many people choose to stay ignorant, or at least like attach on to like the red versus blue, just because there's so many other like issues that are like looming on in the background, that if they were to like kind of jump ship and like kind of focus on everything else, then they would start questioning probably everything. And that's just like, I'm not even sure.
Just like to be in this mindset,
A lot of the reason why I say that I'm really privileged, because obviously like I am, but I'm also privileged in the sense that I can think about these issues and still not even be like as affected as most people. Like, I'm allowed to think about these issues because I am financially stable. I'm not worrying about my bills. Like, my problems, like these problems in my head, they're not serious problems for me. I can think about them and really like critically think about them, reflect on them, think about from other people's perspectives. I can do that. But a lot of people just cannot do that, because if you're constantly being faced with problems and you don't have enough money to make those problems go away, like, this is kind of like a spiel that I have, but it's like, your problem, like imagine you come home from like a work and you have a kid and the kid is just like pissing you off, as kids do. They're annoying sometimes. That's going to be so much more of a problem to you if your electricity is going to turn off in like a certain amount of hours because you couldn't pay the bill, or because your landlord sucks. Like, that's going to be such a huge problem, because it's literally like you don't have the foundation that you need to like fix that problem with a sense of rationality, productivity, and honesty, with love encapsulating all that. You know, like the privilege of having financial stability allows a lot of people to have these conversations without, first of all, getting so angry that they just like blow up because you don't want to actually have to think about it, and just like being able to live throughout life. Like, I can be angry about all these things, but at the end of the day, I can still go to the grocery store and buy myself groceries to eat, you know? Like,
Yeah, it does seem like almost if you're part of that daily grind where you're facing those struggles and you realize that like everyone around you pretty much is doing the same, then you're like, you have some kind of motivation to like make it out and get that financial freedom to help the other people that were like alongside with you. But once you achieve that financial freedom, you're like surrounded by other people that have the financial freedom, and you almost kind of like become numb, or like you kind of forget like the day ones that were also by your side struggling, or at least like the ones that you didn't
or did you forget the majority of our world? Like, there's a lot of people that just do not have the luxury of thinking about our world the way that others do. Like, I always hear people say like, oh, like I think really deeply about things, like I'm very evolved, I have like a lot more insight about myself and other people, and like I can understand why people do the things that they do. But they don't realize that the luxury of being able to think like that is because you were allowed the opportunity and the safe space to like put people in different boxes and understand where they're coming from. Like, if I am working 3 jobs trying to provide for other people and myself, I am sure as hell not thinking about anyone else. I don't give a fuck about anyone else, because now my problems are so individualized that I can't think about them. And I hate them because their problems are not as big as mine, because the only problems that I'm faced with are mine. I can't even think about anyone else. Like, whenever people are kind of just like, and it's not even people, but like, because I think about this too, I'm like, why are people so ignorant? Because literally there is like, they have to think about certain things that I don't have to think about. And that occupies their time. My time is not occupied, so I can think in a different way. You know, it's just like these little things that they mean so much. Like, they mean so much. Like, I was just talking with my friend Sterling, like, or I'm not gonna like actually say the name because I don't want to like expose people, but he like worked all throughout high school to pay rent. I worked all throughout high school to put money in my savings.
Yeah.
I went out of high school with a bunch of savings, and then I could go to college and not work for a year. He still had to pay rent. Like, that money wasn't there. We worked the same, we did all the same, but still different.
That's very true.